Yes, my people, what are you man saying? Yeah, and we're back. So yesterday, I hopped on the charts just a little bit earlier due to the fact that the markets was shutting earlier, and obviously on the fourth, what's it called? 4th of July, markets are closed. So I just said, you know what? Let me hop on the charts a little bit earlier. And if I just go back a minute, a lot of people would have had this as their market structure break, and that is completely fine. There is nothing wrong with this, as this would have been their protected low, and then somewhere at some point they would have had a weak high somewhere up there. So obviously, once I saw that price broke below this area here, it didn't necessarily mean that we were bearish. And the reason why I say that is because when I go to my higher time frame, which is the 1 hour chart, price is still very bullish. And even when we look at price from this point of view, where this is my 1, this is my 2, this is my 3, 4, 5, we can clearly see that we have a bullish SBS. Price has tapped into our 618 level, and we have reacted from that level, and it looks like price is starting to make higher highs and higher lows. So just from the basis of my higher time frame, which is my 1 hour chart, I can still have a bias of being longs. And remember what I always say, guys, that never ever trust the first flip, because the first flip can always be a fake flip, and price can just continue to make higher highs and higher lows in this situation here. So if we actually look to our left, we had a previous zone. So we had this area here where we actually did have this market structure break, and the reason why this zone is still valid to use was because we haven't actually mitigated 50% of this level yet, which is over here. We haven't actually mitigated 50% of this level yet. So there's always a chance that price will come back, mitigate this area, and then potentially start making higher highs and higher lows. And we have actually tapped into this unmitigated move origin. So there's always a potential chance that price will react from this area here and continue to make higher highs and higher lows. So just because price is still bullish and we have a SBS 2, 3, 4, 5, does that mean I'm now just gonna try and catch the longs? No, I'm still gonna wait for some sort of confirmation that price actually wants to shoot higher, and then from there I will make my hypothesis whether I want to take the trade or not. So we can clearly see we was making lower lows and lower highs. So technically, based off my 5-minute chart, price will need to take out, oopsie, sorry about that, price will need to take out this internal high, and then technically that will be my flip based on my 5-minute chart. Price will also need to get above my 200 SMA, and then I can potentially start looking for the longs. So when we go down to our 1-minute chart, we can also see that price is below our 200 SMA, and we are also making lower lows and lower highs. So it wouldn't make sense for me to try and look for longs. I'd rather just wait for price to switch bullish, but also let my SMA switch bullish, and then I will potentially start looking for longs. So if I just let price play out quickly, okay, perfect. So now we have closed above our 5-minute internal high, and the reason why this is internal is because if this is my 5-minute protected low and this is my 5-minute weak high, then everything inside of this is just internal structure. So at one point, yes, we were bearish, and now potentially we have now flipped bullish. So now if I want to look for the longs, I can. So initially, now that we've had that internal market structure break, or flip as you may say, flip, we can now potentially look for longs. As I was saying, you can never ever trust the first flip. So ironically, we did have this area of support here, where it turned from support into resistance, and I actually entered here where this is my 1, this is my 2, this is my 3, 4, and then 5. Let me just do that. So I actually entered here, and then obviously we had SPS, we had the 618 tap as well. So it was everything that I was looking for, and then I actually entered based off the, what's it called, the support level area, where I had my stop just below, and then I just let price play out, and technically off that one candle I was able to capitalize on this win, and then that was me done for the day. However, I understand that initially if I'm looking for the better setup, then technically I should wait for a confirmed flip, and let's see what happens. Okay, so I can't explain this candle, but then if you potentially got in this, then this ends up being your 1, this ends up being your 2, this ends up being your 3, 4, 5. Let me just change the, so you end up getting something like this. I don't know how you're gonna enter this, but this is what you end up getting if you manage to somehow get in this. Potentially you could say that you did have SPS off this, so this could have been your 1, this could have been your 1, this could potentially be your 2, this could be your 3, and then 4, 5. So it depends on how you see it, but then someone else might have this as their 1, someone else might have this as their 2, 3, 4, 5. So either way, as long as you saw the setup and you traded the setup, then I don't see how you could have potentially had a losing trade today. In terms of, again, this candle, I can't really explain how this candle's happened. Obviously it was a news candle, but in terms of getting in this, it would have probably been difficult. Maybe on the 1 minute it would have been a little bit more clear, but still, then again, the way we just shoot up, it's quite hard to say, yeah, I would have been in that trade personally. But either way, this was, in terms of the trade that I took over here, this was a good setup because we were above the SMA. Price was bullish overall on my higher time frame based off the SMA. Price flipped bullish as well. We got above the SMA on my 1 minute chart, and then yeah, like, this was a good trade overall. Yeah, so overall the trade that I took, I would say, was the better trade because he was able to manage it. In terms of this was more of a risky trade or risky setup because you couldn't, what's it called, you wouldn't been able to predict that move down and straight up. But overall, in terms of what we was looking for, price was bullish, yes, based off my higher time frame. And even so, look, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as you guys already saw at the beginning. Obviously we had this limit area here, and can you see how we are literally just trading the continuation? We are not doing anything else. We are literally just trading the continuation, and that's how you would have been able to capitalize on this trade. Potentially you could have entered off a trendline break. So once you had that break over there, you had that retest. So within that retest, you could have had a sell stop above that retest, stop below that zone, that retest there, and then that could have been your trade there. And then price also hits a 2R. So as I always say, as long as you have context behind your trade and you have a plan, you have a game plan, then I don't see how you could have, potentially had a losing trade within this price action. It looked advanced, but then again, we're just looking for the same things, because if I get out my checklist, we can clearly see that price was bullish, price was clearly in the continuation, SMAs were bullish, we had an unmitigated zone at the time, which was this area. We tapped into an area of interest, which is the unmitigated move origin. We was an area of discount or premium, I don't know how you do it. Yes, we had an area of support and resistance. We had that trendline break, if you use that trendline break. We even had a failure swing. I mean, not really a failure swing, but I'll say a candle failure. and I believe we had RSI divergence over here. So can you see how like the odds are in our favor with all the confluences that we have? But all these confluences are very simple to maneuver and very simple to use. And obviously in terms of entry confirmation, you could have used the 618 limit. Obviously it would have been heavy drawdown. S&D flip, we don't quite get it, but then again you can say we do, because if this is my last bearish candle, you see we come back, tap, and then that could have potentially been your call there. Stop below these lows, and then that's your 2R trade right there. See that? So technically, you know, you could have used that. Would that have been ideal? Probably not. You could have even said that it matched along with your trendline break. But either way, you know, you could have potentially used that. You could have used a sell stop, buy stop. So there are plenty ways on how you could have, you know, maneuvered within this type of setup. And as I always say, victory belongs to the most tenacious. And wherever you are in the world, I'm wishing you guys a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, and a good night. And I'll see you guys next week. Ciao.